Alright, what's the best order to watch Star Wars movies in?
What a question. Would it change on the audience? Like, if you were introducing someone to Star Wars,
Yeah.
how would you introduce them?
Well, how would you? I'm asking. Just say they've never seen it before, what order would you watch it?
So I think it would depend on who I'm showing it to. Someone who, if it was someone who like had never seen it before, but they're a lover of movies,
Yeah.
I'd probably go the way that they were released, so that because they'd probably appreciate, New Hope. Nobody's ever seen it before. No one's seen anything like this, from that order, and then they'd enjoy the journey of Star Wars itself.
That's fair
But if
enough.
it was someone who, again, someone who's positively predisposed toward it, I'd probably go from one. But the difficult thing is somebody who's showing that they're probably not super keen to watch it. I'm not sure what the best way to convince them would be. Do you show them the best one first or something, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. So have you heard of the thing called
No.
the machete order?
I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is.
So it's pretty much you watch 4, 5, and then you watch 2, 3 straight after. So the reason you do that is because then it's like a surprise that Leia is actually Vader's daughter. Because if you watch like episode 3, you like already know. Because you
Yeah,
see
okay,
her
that's
birth,
what you meant, yeah.
and then it's kind of cool because you're like, oh, you've seen about Darth Vader, the story's like unresolved, and then you're like, oh, this is how Vader actually like rose essentially or became Vader. So it adds
Yeah,
probably
right.
a couple more stakes for like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. That's actually a cool idea. I hadn't thought about that.
So I might try that. What I actually want to do is
So what,
it's
what was it?
yeah.
4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6?
Well, in that order they cut out the Phantom Menace because it's like too far behind to add to the main narrative being told in the OT.
So you're telling me they're cutting out the best bit.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do that. I would actually edit the movies like to fit them in.
Oh,
So
see, that's a cool idea, actually, isn't it? Like,
so what I want to do is like
totally
edit.
re-engineering it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I think probably like episode 4 has to be the starting point, right? And I guess it's just like how do do you go with the flashback idea and like flashback to the prequels, or do you just
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
because like for example when Obi-Wan mentions the Clone Wars, you could easily like flashback to the actual Clone Wars, right? But
But
at the
what would be
same time,
cool is if you made some um, real life adaptations of some of the Clone Wars material, like the series.
yeah, that's true. So I reckon, like, and with episode 1, I reckon it's still relevant, but I could streamline it heaps. So streamline it so it's only got like the really pertinent stuff, like
Yeah, yeah. If you were doing a whole,
whole like cut and edit kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, because as a movie though, it's good because it has so much in it. I think.
Yeah, I think you could
But
just speed
in
up
the
some of the stuff in the first act, maybe, like where they're like going through
yeah,
the core and stuff like that. You don't need that as long as it is. Yeah, so I think regardless of how you look at it, you got to start with like episode 4, right? Because that's what every other one's
yeah,
based on. Like, that's it.
yeah,
And episode 4 is probably the best on first viewing because like everything's still new. Like
yeah, yeah.
all the
Exactly.
reveals actually mean something. It's also
The
hard
way
as
that it
well.
introduces it.
Yeah, because episode 5, right? Like everyone knows the father twist, so it's pretty hard to like keep that a secret.
Yeah, it's true. Like that. That was very much sort of just a shock value entertain, where it's like, don't spoil it. Which is an interesting thing. Like a lot of people have said with the Marvel things, is like if the best thing about the movie is just a bit of knowledge that shouldn't be spoiled. Like, how good is it as an actual movie?
Yeah,
You know?
that's true.
Whereas we all know about the Death Star and everything now, but it's still, like A New Hope is still a really cool story.
Yeah. It's because
How it happens.
Yeah. And like, there's enough there to actually care about the characters, you know?
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, you think about Empire Strikes Back, and it's like, after Hoth, you know, like, I don't know, what is there to keep going back and watching, you know?
I mean, the Luke and Vader thing is still pretty cool. I mean, like, the whole middle section's a bit...
Yeah, the asteroid thing, to me, is just...
Like, I understand why they did it, because it's about building character and stuff, but...
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it, right? Would the Force Awakens be better in a different order? Like, like if you interjected it, you know, before Return of the Jedi, would that work? I don't know. It's a bit hard.
I like the idea of, like, there's a lot of in the Force Awakens I think is cool, but then they just go back to the original storyline sort of thing. But like the whole Kylo Ren sort of thing is definitely my favourite part of the whole sequel trilogy.
See, I've been thinking about that, and like, I can't even remember what in particular I liked about Kylo Ren. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had a bit of a confused kind of like story arc.
Yeah, the story eventually got out of whack, but I really liked Force Awakens. Ben, oh, not Ben, Kylo, because it was very much like a kid sort of reaction, you know? He was young, didn't really know what he wanted to do, and was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. Whereas then he sort of became to, got him. Then, I don't know, I did get confused with how on top of it he really was, and I don't know. But I liked the idea of him at the start. But then he wanted Rey to join him.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been cool too, you know, like if Rey did join him, that would have been something totally different to what we've seen.
I just feel as well with like with the Rise of Skywalker kind of undoing like Return of the Jedi with Palpatine coming back. It's like, I don't know how you would put that, how you can actually put that in the saga without it making like no sense. Do you know what I mean? Or like devaluing Return of the Jedi. I feel like you have to pick like one or the other, pretty much.
Yeah. The interesting part is that it's kind of does stick to the original canon, you know, like the original extended universe. That's what Palpatine sort of does. He clones himself, puts himself everywhere.
Yeah. But even
so it's sort of like, oh, it's annoying because it is a weird idea, but then isn't it weird how like the one way that they do stay true to the original extended universe is like the weirdest way, and like the one that nobody really thought was a good idea anyway.
Yeah. I guess you could make it mean a bit more if you were like, like Vader, you know, Vader's work wasn't undone, like Anakin wasn't redeemed kind of thing, because at the end of the day, like, his actions in the old canon brought down or started the demise of the Empire, like, proper. So that's still valuable, even though Palpatine, you know, clones himself.
Yeah,
Where, like, this way, it's like, oh, the universe hasn't even changed at all. And his, like, sacrifice is pointless, so it's kind of like...
I feel like one of the main reasons failure happens in these games is because the people playing heroes don't do the hero job properly. They're off, like, doing their own thing, while we've got heroes just munting up all the dudes.
Yeah. Could be. Man, those thermal detonators can... But like, I'm Maul at the moment. I'm just getting shot up from like every direction, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say probably the best way to watch him, without like cutting the movies together, would have to be probably 4. 4 has to be first. Would I go straight? I think I'd go straight to 5 as well, because like 5 pretty much follows 4 like straight after, right?
Oh, I don't know actually, like, because it's not a straight away follow.
Not straight
If you
away,
think
but
about
I think
it,
it's close enough.
like, I don't know if there's really any urgency to tell 5 straight after
I
4.
guess that's true.
But then again, it's like, well, would you gain anything by watching another one before 5?
Yeah, like I'm not sure what story you would tell in between that, because like it's not really that relevant at that point to talk about Vader. Like Vader's story only becomes super relevant after episode 5, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think 4-5 is pretty nailed on.
Hey! Wasn't really expecting us to...
I guess you can't watch any of the new... Oh, you did alright, mate. Couple eliminations in there.
Hey?
You got a couple eliminations in there. Not too bad. Number 1. The officer, mate.
Oh, I'm telling you, mate. Look at him. See that commanding presence?
Oh,
Get
mate.
there. What a treat. And that was the opposite the entire time.
I think 4-5. There's nothing to be gained, I think, by... You can't use the sequel trilogy before Return of the Jedi, I think, because... Like, you already know about...
You know literally can't.
Yeah, you know that Luke's alive and Vader's dead, right? So... That kind of spoils any tension.
I'm thinking like do 5, so we know what's going on and everything, and we've heard mention of Clone Wars. What if we go 4, and then 2, 3? Bring us back up to speed to what we just jumped into, you know.
So 4, 2, 3, then 5, or 4, 5, or 2, 3.
I would, just for the sake of really, just being like. Just because I can, I'll probably go 4, 2, 3, and then 5.
Okay.
For laugh. Because then we get sort of all the backstory that 4 kind of just jumps straight into. And then from 5, we can finish off the rest of the saga.
But there's no episode 1 there, you know?
I know, this is the thing, like... To me, I just see episode 1 as just such a great start. It's like almost a standalone, you know? Because from 1, it begins and ends, you know? And there's quite a... Like, you don't need the rest of the story almost. Because 1 is its own...
Yeah. Alright, how about 4? And then... I don't know at what point... This is what I'm thinking. You got to interject 1 in there somewhere. So you could,
yeah.
You interject to 1 before Anakin and Obi-Wan duel in episode 4, before Obi-Wan dies. So you get a bit of background.
Oh, so what? You stop the story halfway through 4?
Yeah, maybe when they're just in the Millennium Falcon, like Obi-Wan has a bit of a flashback. Or you do it after Obi-Wan gets cut down. So you're like, oh, hang on. There's a bit of background here. Or you look at...
Man, this is like... Once you start the ability of being able to cut movies...
Alright, 5.
You could cut them. You could cut them all over the place.
Yeah.
Which would be cool, I suppose.
You would, I reckon you would, but you just wouldn't... You try not to be too jarring, because they've obviously got a different, like, appearance, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the whole look and feel and sound changes. From
How about... During the asteroid field and Dagobah kind of bit of episode 5, it's like the perfect time to jump back in time. You know, Vader's like talking to the Emperor for the first time. You know, Palpy is a pretty key character. He's outlined in, you know, he's a pretty important character in the prequels as well. be good to get that background, like just after.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, there could be shows of shots of him talking to Maul and stuff like that.
Yeah. But episode one's so good, you don't want to just cut it off. You need the whole thing.
The officer, these little pockets on his sleeves. It's pretty cool.
Epic.
Mate, you couldn't even fit the Death Star plans in those.
What about that message, you know, in Rise of Skywalker, where they got to pass that message on in like the opening scene? They got to pass it on by like USB, and it takes like 3 minutes, and it's literally the message is literally Palpatine's alive. Do you know what I'm talking
In
about?
Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, you know at the start when they're getting chased by TIE fighters, and then they meet up with their source, an old mate.
Oh,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
And it's literally like he could have just yelled at them. He could have just yelled like Palpatine's alive. But
Yeah,
no,
that's
they got to
right.
put it on a USB and decode it.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. He's yelling down the hallway, "Good luck!" And then he gets blasted.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
message is just
Oh man,
somehow Palpatine survived.
I would cut the sequel trilogy down into like, I don't know, very small. Very
small. Very
Maybe-
small.
I don't even know how
Should
you.
we quit?
Yeah, let's quit. Let's look for something else. 4, 5, and then you got to slip 1 in there somewhere, right? And then you can take a bit of a break. Jump to episode 2 and 3. I reckon you probably streamline 2 a bit. 3, you got to keep the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4, 5, and you got to slot 1 in there somewhere. I feel like it's either got to be like maybe I think after Obi-Wan reveals that he was like Vader's master.
A pupil of mine. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh,
yeah.
okay, that's a bit of intrigue. And then you watch episode 1 and you're like, what? Qui-Gon's his master. And then you'd be like, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't going to end well. And then, you know, Duel of the Fates happens. Qui-Gon dies. And you're like, oh, is this what started Anakin on his path, you know?
Yeah, well, that's like, so what? Luke's in the little hovel talking to Obi-Wan. And what, we cut there and play it for episode 1?
I feel like that's too early, though. I don't know. Maybe, you know, okay, how about when Luke's on the Millennium Falcon after Ben Kenobi gets slashed in half, and he's kind of just sitting there, and then it kind of cuts to episode 1. And you kind of just streamline episode 1 so it's got, you know, just the bits about Anakin, and then kind of the final act.
Yeah.
Because you don't really need
and then we go... Are we doing 2, 3 as well, or is it going straight from 1 into 5? Continue it where we're up to in 4?
Continue where you're up to in 4, I think. The only 2 story threads in episode 1 which are like particularly pertinent is the Anakin, like how Anakin becomes a Jedi, and then how Palpatine gets power. But they could almost be 2 separate, you know, like they don't necessarily have to be on screen at the same time, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Whoa, what's this?
Galactic Assault, mate. We're on.
What are we? I don't think I played this level. Where are we right now?
On the Tantive 4. Look at that.
Oh, thought so.
We're on the Death Star.
Oh. What, did we just crash into the bastard?
Yep. Yeah, and then I don't know, the new trilogy just ruins it, right? Because it's like it's the Skywalker saga, and then it's like, no, it's not anymore. Oh wait, yeah, it is. Because Rey's a Skywalker. No, she's not
wait. I identify as a Skywalker
anymore. Like, I guess Kylo's the only one who's technically a Skywalker, but he's more of he's a half Solo, half Skywalker.
Yeah, there's just no continuity, is there?
They should have kept one director on for all 3 movies, man. Like, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, yeah, I don't even know with The Force Awakens, hey, what you'd keep. I guess you keep most of it. The
Yeah, I
Last
don't know.
Jedi, you would have to cut like significantly, I think, to make sense.
Honestly, though, like, where does any of that series start and end? Like, it's really just it just ends up the way that it started. You know, Palpatine's dead again. Oh, the only real difference that happens we don't really know much about. So, the New Republic, like, what's the go with the New Republic? You know,
And yeah, what happens?
what
Is there
what
a new Republic again now?
like what did they build after the Death Star and everything? Like, what was it we actually lost? And then what happened after
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
end of that movie? You know, like I just don't know where we came from or where we went to.
And Blue Cape, so good.
Man, they're really going at it in there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Who's that? Oh man, someone's BB9. What a banner.
Yeah, so I don't know if he killed me or heavily contributed to my death. He's just spinning around like an idiot.
Oh man. No, we're done, lads. See ya.
Oh no.
I guess like, how would you even make the sequel trilogy good? Like, what do you even keep? What do you get rid of? I don't know.
Who knows?
It just doesn't make sense. It's just incoherent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, why is the Phantom Menace so good?
It's a loaded question.
Why is that?
No, it definitely is.